Hello, Cubs fans, and welcome to a brand new edition of Cubs on Tap. I am Ron Luce. I am joined by two very handsome Cubs fans and my fantastic Cubs co-host for this evening, Mr. Tyler Edmonds and Mr. Rich Eberwine. Gentlemen, it's Cubs on Tap after dark. I appreciate you boys for being patient because Ron Luce is doing double duty with Bears on Tap tonight. Shameless busy guy. But the weekend starts on Thursdays, as we have noted at On Tap Sportsnet, and we're here with a late night show. Gentlemen, how are you guys doing? And nearly, it's almost Friday. How are you guys feeling?
Ready to go, Ron. Like you said, after hours, anything goes. Anything. Most of the time, you have to get this kind of crap on pay-per-view, but no, special for free, late night edition. Like you said, man, the weekend's here basically, and I'm ready to talk a freaking sweep.
Hell yeah. I love that energy right out the jump. Rich, are you able to match that energy here on a Thursday night?
I don't think I could ever match that energy. That was hype. No, man. Sweep, coming off a sweep. It's a little bit of an ugly sweep, but a sweep is a sweep, man. Like, the Cubs are riding high right now. It's looking really nice. 14 games above 500, heading into a Red series again, and the Cubs scored, I don't know, a bajillion runs against their bullpen last weekend. So
sure did.
Things are looking up right now, man. Cubs vibes are really good right now.
Yeah, and speaking of riding high, the title of tonight's episode is Rocky Mountain Vibes, and that's exactly what it is, because as you gentlemen mentioned, the Cubs are coming off a sweep of the Colorado Rockies. Rich put it perfectly. I believe, my friend, you said it was not pretty. It was an ugly sweep, but a sweep is a sweep, and you're going to have to win ugly baseball games. That's just the nature of the beast. Early, to mid-May at Wrigley can still be very cold. Hell, apparently even late May can still be very cold. Wasn't a traditional summer series where the wind's blowing out. A lot of small ball. Monday was, sacrifice flies and stealing bases to put runners in scoring position. Really, the whole series was kind of that small ball feel, but they got it done in, I'll tell you guys what, before hearing from each of you, we got to tune in with our comment section here. My dad says, crack 'em. Scott is saying they don't ask how big, they ask how many. Ain't that the truth? But Jay says,
Right.
Just 9 runs in this series but the weather is warm this weekend, and we might see different baseball. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But gentlemen, do you guys appreciate the small ball Cubs when they bust it out when they have to, as much as I do? Because I feel like this team, more than ever, is equipped to play Wrigley no matter how Wrigley plays. Either they're going to slug their way to 13 runs when the wind's blowing out, or when the wind's blowing in like it did all week against the Rockies, they're going to grit their way to 3-1, 2-1, 4-3 wins, where stealing bases and clutch pitching is ultimately going to win you the baseball game.
Yeah, I mean, we've touched on this throughout the year. I feel like last year the Cubs tried to be that kind of team, but they just didn't have the correct roster and the right pieces to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's up and down the lineup. You have solid to excellent base runners basically at every position. Besides Ian Happ and Seiya Suzuki, maybe, but even still, they're still, I would say average base runners. Swanson, Nico Horner, PCA, Matt Shaw now in the 9-hole is just lengthens that lineup and makes it even more dangerous on the base paths. You just have good base running, and now the bench guys too, which was the main issue with trying to play like that. Take Tuesday's game, for example, when they went into extra innings and you needed a pinch runner when they tied the game. You had John Birdie, who is also an excellent base runner, whereas last year you would have been forced to put Mike Tauchman or Patrick Wisdom in that spot.
Or Nick Madrigal,
who has stubby legs and can't run that well. They just have better pieces in place to play that kind of way. And I think they've made it a point by adding, certain guys. Craig Counsell hired certain guys on his coaching staff to, kind of develop and make it a focus of this team. And it's working out really well.
They showed their ability to adjust to the conditions. And yeah, it was the Rockies, but still, they're a major league. Are they arguably possibly the worst baseball team that could be in the history of all, maybe, but still, they adjusted to the conditions. And like you said, Rich, it feels like at least they're 1 through 8, not counting Carson Kelly or Amaya, but at any moment can steal a bag. And like you said, even their bench guys. So yeah, it's just, and they've shown in the past, and I just think about this because I ran into our guy, Will Stradamus, this weekend. He preached a lot not too long ago about their poor record in May throughout the years. And, who knows, maybe last year, this is one of those series where at the end of it, we're bitching about how we should have won 2 out of those 3 games and barely lost or something like that, against a team and not this time. And it just, like you said earlier, Ron, it wasn't pretty, but they got it done. I'd rather be sitting here talking about 3 ugly wins than 2 out of 3 wins or 1 out, whatever. So, they did the job.
Yeah, it's nice to see them avoid having a case of the maze for the 4th year in a row. Because that was something that I sat on these airwaves at the end of April and said, I feel like I wasn't buying into this team as early as a lot of other people just because I was so worried about May. Because May has broken my heart the last 3 years. This year, it hasn't broken my heart. And I think now I've that's why the chain's getting broken out on this episode. We're starting to get into the vibe and the fun, I think, of the rest of the fan base here because they're starting to do good things. And like Scott says here, you get 6 innings from all 3 of your pitchers. I'm still so impressed by what this starting rotation has done despite the adversity that they've faced over the course of the whole season, right? You lose Steele early on. Shota goes down. Your 2 dogs in this rotation are not around, and yet Jameson Taillon has stepped up and is fist pumping coming off the field after getting out of jams. Cade Horton, remember when I told people I like being wrong? I'm cool with being wrong about Cade Horton.
Yeah,
because I like watching good baseball, and he's been fun to watch. He's pitched so well. I think he should stay in the rotation when Shota returns and Ben Brown leave the rotation. And then Matthew Boyd just continues to be this pleasant surprise that nobody forecasted. And it almost just seems like they had the right veterans in place.
You were talking about being wrong. I was wrong about Matthew Boyd. I'll put both hands up.
Same. I talked so much shit about.
Can I ask you a real question? Can I ask you guys a question since we're talking real quick? Is Matthew Boyd going to dick around and find himself in the All-Star game in July?
If he keeps pitching like he is, yes.
7 of his 11 starts have gone 6 innings, 3 earned runs or less. Matthew Boyd.
He's been nails.
Gentlemen.
Dude, that would be crazy if he dicked around and found himself in the All-Star game.
Just saying.
I think if he remains healthy, yes. I think that's kind of a lock.
And I think, too, while we're on the topic of these guys, and maybe this is just a Matthew Boyd thing, too, do you think that a lot of this is happening because they have the right veterans in place? Like the guys who are just no nonsense, whatever, it's not the Bulldogs aren't there, right? You don't have Justin Steele pumping 7, 8, 9 innings constantly. You don't have Shota out there giving you those 7 and 8, but these guys knew what the task was. It's keep the ship afloat because they got the offense to bail you out. Why not? I can almost make the argument that these guys are feeding just off of that notion of, hey man, yeah, we got the offense, but we're gonna make up for the adversity here. Because Taillon strikes me as that kind of guy. Boyd is just that savvy veteran now.
I feel like those veteran guys you talk about, they all feel. I feel like they all feel like they have something to prove. Even Jameson Taillon, they all do, and and not even just the pitchers too. Well, even some of the bullpen guys too. But you look at a guy like Matthew Boyd, who came off Tommy John, didn't have many. What do you have, like 8 outings last year, if that? Signs that contract. He probably heard the stuff from myself included about, just the ridiculous contract he signed. Jameson Taillon has been getting shit for the last 2 years. And so both of them guys, I feel like they almost have like that FU mentality, like I'll show you. And so far they have.
Can add
100%.
Colin Ray to that list too. I mean,
Yeah.
Colin Ray is he's been in and out of rotation for Milwaukee for the last couple of years as like a long reliever, swingman type dude. I don't think anybody was expecting much out of him when he signed with the Cubs. He was going to be just the long reliever, right? Like if the Drew Smiley, if you will, of this team. I think people were kind of had him in that sort of category, right? He has stepped up big time. I mean, he has done a massive, I don't know. He's been a massive part of the rotation, keeping afloat right now through all these injuries. And kudos to him because a lot of them are quality starts as well. Yeah, man, it's they definitely need to sustain this for a while because it's going to be a minute before Shota comes back. I don't know, next couple weeks or so, but yeah, to your point, Ron, I think right now you're looking at Ben Brown going back to like Iowa, maybe to figure himself out when Shota comes back because Cade Orton has looked capable of holding a rotation spot. His arsenal, he has a bigger arsenal than Ben Brown does. He's showing that he can go deeper into ball games, and he has that edge to him. He's got that mentality that, and he's like mature beyond his years. Whereas like, Ben Brown just doesn't have that third pitch yet. He doesn't have the right. I don't know. He hasn't put it all together yet.
And I think this is ultimately what kind of separated those two in a lot of the prospect ranking lists, right? It was, Ben Brown's still a great prospect and all, but like Cade Horton's that guy because of the arsenal, and that arsenal continues to grow, right? He went from a 3-pitch pitcher who was very comfortable in his sweep curve fastball mix, which he can cut that fastball. You saw it, I think, in the start this past one, where it just the catcher totally missed it because it was so inside and he got a sword on it. He's got that changeup coming along now that he mixes in, apparently, according to all the metrics, a sinker too. So I guess you could technically call him a 5-pitch pitcher now. He's just able to dice up lineups at such a different rate compared to a Ben Brown, where Ben Brown might be elite as your 1 or 2 inning guy because of that stuff. You've seen it where he can go through the first time through a rotation and take care of business. It's just when guys see the 1-2, you have a lot less you have to keen in on then in long term. I could see him going back to Iowa. I could see a world where they maybe just start to accept the fact that Ben Brown might be a better relief pitcher. And maybe he's another one of these nasty young guys you have at the back of the bullpen because, like my dad said, the bullpen rounding into form early, and they found their close. Daniel Palencia has been sick. I know, Rich, you and Nick talked about it the other night. It's like Adbert Alzolay light right now, watching him when he celebrates.
Yeah.
If you have him and Brown and Hodge and some of these guys that start to develop at the back end of the bullpen, you're not going to have to pay for bullpen pitching for the next 3 years.
Yeah, that's also what got them through this series and this sweep. The bullpen turned in 10 2/3 scoreless innings.
Hell yeah.
Including 2 saves from Palencia, 2 scoreless innings in extras from Chris Flexen. And you just kind of have this, to your dad's point, there's a nice core of relievers starting to form. Palencia is holding down the closer job. Pomerantz has a 0 ERA right now.
Electric. That's crazy.
Keller has been insane. That is unbelievable value for a guy who signed a minor league deal, 2.3 ERA. He has 16 straight scoreless appearances right now going. Teal Bar right behind him has been great. Chris Flexen quietly has a 0 ERA in 12 innings as a multi-inning guy.
Hell yeah.
That's Brazier, 4 straight scoreless, has looked pretty good since coming back from his groin injury. I don't know. The bullpen has been amazing. Like a month ago, it was kind of like, who the hell are we going to bring in to stabilize this bullpen? Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden it's kind of like, who are we going to move out to make room for guys coming back from injury, which is a great problem to have. Like guys like Tyson Miller and Porter Hodge, when they come back, it's like, who do you get rid of now? Especially because they just signed Cabrera to a major league contract. So it's like to me, that signing kind of signals that Porter Hodge might be out for a little bit longer than we would like.
Agreed.
Which sucks, but as long as Daniel Palencia is holding down the 9th inning, it might not be as bad. And, like we said, that we got all these other guys starting to form. So, yeah, the bullpen is turning into where it was like the major flaw of the team in April. It's turning into a strength.
Especially in the month of May, I feel like where the offense at times has taken a little bit of a step back compared to that hot April they had. And like my dad says, it really does feel like the pitch slab strikes again. I'm becoming a Drew Pomeranz just stan.
He's
Like
awesome.
so much so there might be a Drew Pomeranz jersey ordered. Like we're getting to that neighborhood of irrational appreciation for Drew Pomeranz.
He's a Craig Counsell guy.
I love stories like that too. Like, everyone, what is he? Probably 30. What is he? 38?
I think he's 36.
36?
Yeah.
To take what? Did he take 2 years off?
Well, he was he pitched a little bit in the minors over the last.
But to even stick around in the minors for 2 years after in 2018 winning the World Series with the Red Sox. Now, I want to say he didn't make an appearance at all. I know that ridiculous 18-inning game. He did not make an appearance.
Yeah, he's the only pitcher that didn't pitch.
The only pitcher. That's how little confidence they had in him, and could have easily hung it up. I've got my World Series ring. I've made my money, everything like that. And he's still doing the damn thing.
It was 3.5 years.
That's
the last
crazy.
time he pitched in MLB was August
that is
2021.
and just the role that he's been in with this team so far, he's been excellent in. It's just I love stories like that. It's awesome.
Yeah, they resurrected his career. They resurrected Brad Keller's career. Tealbar had a down year. He's been a solid reliever for his whole career, basically, but he had like the worst year of his career last year, and now he's like nails again.
Yeah.
The pitch lab. Led by
Drew Smiley, same thing. You guys talked about it in the off season about what was it? He changed his arm angle up from what he was accustomed to or whatever. Ron, I think you talked about
Matthew Boyd.
Just
different arm slot.
Man. Yeah.
It's genuinely impressive, and I think too, it really, like, when they can consistently do this, it gives you so much faith in their ability to just figure it out with the bullpen. Because look at Jorge Lopez; he's got a 6 ERA right now in Washington. This was a guy that was a slam dunk, back 3-inning guy, like a sub 2.5 ERA, I think, when it was all said and done. He was really, really good. And the Cubs continue to figure these out. Like, I'm starting to get to the point where the Cubs sign a really weird pitching name, and I'm just like, you know what? It's probably going to work, which I never thought I would feel in my life. But the last 2 years, 3 years now have kind of proven that. It's like they can kind of bargain bin their way with a bullpen and figure it out enough to where then maybe you do have enough money to spend on Kyle Tucker. Maybe you do take some more big swings at getting those big position players to be those freak athletes that can score a ton of runs, and you can make it work because you don't have to overpay a bullpen full of, quote unquote, elite arms to get the job done.
Yeah, to that point, I am genuinely excited to see what Cabrera brings to the table, because he has been
especially solid, as a lefty.
Yeah, he's been a good setup man for going on 5 years now, including last year where he had a 3.5 ERA for Toronto. So very excited to see what their pitch lab can do. And then you also still have guys in Iowa, veteran guys that they signed, like Phil Bickford and Tom Cosgrove as depth. I hate to admit it, but Michael Fulmer is also in Iowa, kind of dealing.
He's back.
He has 23 strikeouts in 15 innings this year.
That's electric.
That's crazy. He was freaking terrible for the Cubs a couple years ago. And then there's younger guys too, like Luke Little and Riley Martin and Jack Neely are also still waiting for their turn as well. So you got good depth as well waiting in Iowa. It's just bullpen is just working itself out.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have. As Break Even Tom says here, he said he was starting late to the party. Fuck the Cardinals. He says, give him a Cabrera jersey to wear to St. Louis so he can shove it against his old team. And backing up with numbers, man, Pomeranz and Flexen have a combined 25 innings with just 11 hits, giving up 6 walks, no earned runs, and 21 Ks.
That's nasty. That's unbelievably awesome. Nasty. Were we expecting Chris Flexen to come up and do that? I mean, I wasn't.
I
was
thought he was going to get a look as a starter because
did
of all the
too.
injuries.
Yeah, when Cade Horton came up, I thought that was Chris Flexen's spot and I feel like in years past that would have been Chris Flexen in
1,000%.
there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like they're just being so aggressive with the roster decisions this year. They're just not screwing around.
I kind of like that though too, and
It's great.
that
It's
actually
awesome.
plays into a little bit of a tinfoil hat question I have for you guys toward the end of the show. But gentlemen, I mean, even though the offense, not to completely 180 and change gears here, the offense obviously didn't put up the big runs like we've been accustomed to at times this year. But I enjoy when this Cubs team runs. And I feel like I've talked about that a lot more in the last 2 to 3 years. They're fun when they run, man. And they hit, like Rich, I believe it was you that said this earlier in the show. Everybody except maybe the catchers can pretty much at any time steal a bag. Like even Michael Busch is athletic enough to steal a bag as your first baseman. All of your outfielders can steal bags, with two of them doing it at a very efficient and borderline elite clip. Dansby Swanson runs well. Nico Horner runs well. Matt Shaw in 2 separate games this series with his legs essentially helped the Cubs set up wins. It's been really fun to see them be able to execute like that and just let these big bats do what they do best and drive. It almost feels like the Cubs have brought back the art of driving in runs and setting your guys up for success, which, everybody talks about, RBIs aren't as valued as they used to be, which to me makes no fucking sense, but that's neither here
I
nor
don't
there.
know who thinks that.
Somebody does. There's somebody in baseball that does.
Pat Hughes and Ron Coomer are always complaining about that too. They're like, "Well,
Yes,
I still value it, and I know you do, Ron." I'm like, "Yes, good, Pat, good stuff."
Yeah, it's so good. But I mean, the offense has done a lot of good work too. And again, it was ugly, but it was just a different way of going about it for the Cubs in this series is really what it felt like. And that's been a lot of fun to witness and see. A couple quick comments here, because Tyler, we certainly need to hear from you on this topic as well. Break-even Thompson, wind is blowing in. They need to run to manufacture runs, quit swinging for the fences with the wind blowing in. Yeah, and they've been doing that. And they had some bad at-bats. Rich, you and Nick talked about that on the last show. It wasn't all pretty, but, when you had to buckle down and get shit done, you're able to. And Nicky Lopez is the only position player with an at-bat that's not a catcher that doesn't have a stolen base, and he's not even on the team anymore because he was let go. So, I mean, that's pretty spectacular when it comes to running.
Yeah, it's just we're talking about running. We haven't even mentioned Nico Horner.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many options. Watching the game last night, do you want to hear a fun fact about Nico Horner?
I do.
Nico Horner. How do you guys feel about I know there's some stat nerds out there that there's B war, F war, one's better than the other, one likes the other one. But anyways, Nico Horner has a 2.1 B war, which is the same as Freddie Freeman and Corbin Carroll. They're pretty good players, right? He has a better B war. Let me just tell you the list right here. That just to name a few. Better B war than Mookie Betts, Juan Soto, Francisco Lindor, Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, Vladdy, Jose Ramirez, Byron Buxton, Ellie De La Cruz, Ketel Marte, Matthew Chapman, just to name a few. Pretty good list of players, and it just goes. We were just talking about players that were, as far as guys running the bases and stuff like that, and just the depth that this team has, and just how it's easy to look over one person. And I don't know. I was just watching the game, going through Baseball Reference, just, I like looking up, how's this guy doing? How's this guy, whatever. And I just stumbled upon Nico Horner, and I was like, man, wow. It just goes back to what we've basically been talking about different ways to manufacture runs other than hitting the ball over the fence when, the conditions aren't right for it. So yeah. It's just, another weapon that this team has.
And not only that, it's a defense too, goes into war. And the Cubs have an elite defense. I mean,
yes, they do.
Who's the worst defender on the field? Is it like Kyle Tucker? I mean,
Or is it like Matt Shaw?
maybe. But Matt Shaw has made 3 Gold Glove caliber plays at third base in the last week.
I
Yeah.
seen so Saturday I was I was at the Reds game on Saturday when he made that. I'm telling you, in the middle of that play, like almost like it was one of those plays when you just goofing around in the infield, like at practice and stuff, trying to make stupid plays that, he makes the throw and I'm like, yeah, okay. Like seriously, in the middle of that play, I'm sitting there thinking, it's like, okay, that's impressive he did that and made the throw, but that's not gonna. Holy shit, he got him out, that kind of thing. And like you said, Rich, he's done that 3 times
Yeah.
in the last 5 games.
Insane. Yeah. I mean,
It's crazy. It's just, yeah. And people were just shitting on that guy not being able to play third for a minute. And it's just like, I think he reminded everybody that, yeah, he can. And he's pretty good at it.
yeah, he's been awesome. 13 hits, 5 stolen bases since he's come back from Iowa. And this Rocky series gave him probably his best moment as a major leaguer so far, where he completed the walk-off on Tuesday. The guy who arguably needed a confidence boost more than anybody in this lineup got that. So that was awesome too. Yeah, Shaw is turning into a nice player. And we were talking about this a little bit before the show started. I'm kind of glad that the Cubs didn't sign Alex Bregman for the first time this year. Like, Bregman has looked insanely good, but he just blew out his quad again. And if it's the same injury that he just re-aggravated from 2021, where he missed 2.5 months, Red Sox could be in trouble. So I'm kind of glad that he's not on the Cubs. And coincidentally, right as that happened, Matt Shaw is turning into like an awesome third baseman for us. So things are looking good on that front.
They sure are. And Scott says here, Seiya has the lowest defensive WAR at -0.5. Tucker's second at negative.
And he's not even a
0.4.
starter. He's the DH.
Yeah, and he's the DH. So, I mean, yeah, you can make the argument Tucker is the worst defender. And, I mean, this is still a guy who's at least an average defender for the most part. That's really good company to have all across the infield and outfield. And a little Nico no-love Horner. And Horner is the guy that Break-Even Tom wants up with runners on third with less than 2 outs. Nico's a winner. And again, you mentioned B-WAR. He's a 2 B-WAR player. I mean, this is also a guy that year in and year out puts up his F-WAR as well as always in almost a 5 because of, again, that defensive factor. And I think, gentlemen, especially now that the shift has been largely tamed in baseball, I think it makes Nico Horner's value that much more impressive, right? Like, you could hide second basemen as defenders in years past with really good shortstops and really rangy third basemen. Now that second baseman needs to be effectively another shortstop in a lot of ways. And the Cubs, this is going way back to the juice tinfoil hat take of years ago of Jed Hoyer being boys with Theo Epstein, who was in the front office of Major League Baseball, and said, Theo, where would and they had those conversations as buddies, where if you were ever going to change rules of the game, let's say you got a job at Major League Baseball, what are you going to change? Oh, you want more athleticism. Oh, you want the second baseman to be a shortstop type player. Good to know. I'll keep that one in mind for when it happens.
I love that theory. This is the first time I heard it.
So there is juice.
Jed Hoyer said, holy shit, I should sign Dansby Swanson and put Nico Horner.
He said, holy shit, the middle of our team needs to be stronger than ever to be successful in the new form of baseball. And the Cubs have been building toward that very quickly.
I love that. I mean, how many teams can say that they have a second baseman who plays Gold Glove defense and he can also play Gold Glove defense at shortstop? I mean,
yeah. Very few teams in baseball.
That's awesome.
Can legitimately say that. And, my dad says here 3 Gold Gloves in the outfield, potentially 3 in the infield. Yeah. I mean, this is, and even Carson Kelly. I mean, this is a team full of guys who can legitimately maybe not win them, but at least be finalists when the year comes to an end for their respective positions as Gold Glovers. Nico Horner should be in that conversation for sure, as should Dansby Swanson.
Bush.
Ian Happ's going to be. He's going to go for 4 straight because why not? Bush should as well. I completely agree. And PCA
This team
is
should
almost
compete for the they could
The
compete
team
for the
Gold
team.
Glove.
What is it? The team Gold Glove award.
I agree.
Yeah.
I
Because
think
who
so.
was it last year? Milwaukee.
I think it was Milwaukee.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
That's gross. It is gross.
I hate that.
Gentlemen,
But that just kind of
oh,
goes
go
to
ahead.
show too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like Craig Counsell's MO. He wants to have a good defensive team and a good base running team. That's how you win on the margins. And like I was saying before, like they were trying to win on the margins with like mediocre bench players who can't run the bases well or play defense that well. And now they have all those pieces in place and it's all coming together. And we're like Milwaukee, but better. Who would have thought?
Who would have thunk? Who would have thunk? It's nice to see. Gentlemen, before we get to the question, because I feel like I'm going to open up another can of worms. I want to give each of you a chance. And of course, we still got to talk about a Red series. Final thoughts from the sweep over the Colorado Rockies before the Cubs open up with the Reds on Friday.
So I don't remember which it was somebody with 670 the score that was going around as far as it being what was it called this a weak sweep and was complaining blah blah blah. At the end of the day, a sweep is a sweep. Good teams get the job done. They got the job done. Yes, it would have been nice to seen that 14-0 blowout and a 12-2 game or just something. But you know what? They swept the series. The one thing and we don't have to, because I know you got a question, Ron. Are we a little concerned with the lack of power so far from Ian Happ? I know he's not a guy that hits, he's going to get you your 20 home runs. He's got a couple, I think I want to say he's got 7 hits in the 8 games that he's been back, but are we just maybe a little concerned about his lack of just slugging and everything like that so far?
I think you can make the argument because he had an oblique injury, no?
Yeah. So maybe it's one of those things that he's back, but maybe not completely 100%, maybe.
Yeah, and the comment section's got some thoughts on this too. He says not 100%. Yeah,
it's because and you can kind of see it in the games as well. You know what I mean? And like I said, he's still getting his hits, but you could just tell it just feels like something's not all there yet. And so that answers it.
I feel like he definitely should have went on a rehab assignment. Especially those first couple games, he just looked out of whack at the plate
lost.
And on defense a couple of plays too. On the other hand, I think I would be more concerned if we didn't have Kyle Tucker, if we didn't have Seiya Suzuki's power ascending the way it is, and Pete Crow Armstrong playing like a superstar player. I would be definitely more concerned if we were leaning on Ian Happ to be a power hitter on the team, but we have so much other like areas of power right now, so we kind of have like an embarrassment of riches in that department, so it's not as concerning. But yeah, definitely would like him to be hitting home runs at a higher clip, or at least hitting at a higher clip right now.
Yeah. I think as he gets healthy, I think we'll see that, and that's the key. It seems like luckily his approach really hasn't changed a whole lot, right? I mean, it didn't seem super concerning also because he was only on the 10-day IL, right? This wasn't like a 15-day stint, and he came back pretty much at the minimum. Yeah, I think he's gonna get better and stole it and breaking time with a couple comments here. Happ was in a slump before his injury. Now he's trying to find that swing again. Says stole it breathing, breaking time. He was it wasn't in the slump before the IL. He was on a heater, but nonetheless, he's trying to just figure stuff out. And I think just his plate discipline alone in the lineup and his glove in the outfield is enough for them to make an impact on the lineup and win games. And I think that's exactly how the Cubs feel. Is they say, dude, you don't need to hit power right now. Just get healthy. You'll figure it out. You'll hit when you need to hit.
At the very least with Happ and break even time, when I talked to him, he made a good point on, I believe it was Saturday, just the difference between Ian Happ leading off and PCA. And especially for a guy like Kyle Tucker. And that's what we talked about in Cincinnati. And I was like, yeah, you make a good point, because just the ability that Happ has as far as seeing pitches and working a count, so that those guys on deck like Tucker gets to see a lot of pitches, whereas there's times where PCA's shown maybe He's a little over aggressive, and he wants, which can be good and bad. But just his presence alone is maybe that's at least good enough right now for the rest of the offense.
I think we are starting to come to the notion of what a proper leadoff hitter looks like in today's day and age of baseball, right? It went through that evolution, and then we got to a point where I don't think anybody was truly sure what the true leadoff hitter should be. And the Cubs used so many different guys. I think the one consistency of it, it's just got to be a guy who sees a lot of pitches. I don't care if he's fast. I don't care if he's, if he strikes out, but he's got to drive up pitch counts. And Pat Hughes and Ron Coomer have said it best on the radio. They said it, the White Sox, Kate Horton start. It was hot. They got pitch counts up high on, I believe it was Jonathan Cannon on that Sunday. And you get erratic when it's hot and you get 15, 16, 17, 20 pitches in an inning. That's only going to benefit guys like Kyle Tucker and Seiya Suzuki and PCA if Ian Happ is able to either get on base or, see enough pitches to at least drive up that pitch count. So I think that's the difference, because I remember saying that when they lost Happ, the offense looked different because Happ was not at the top of the lineup. And I think you're starting to see some of those other things here. Happ is the Rizzo of this team. You can make the argument Kyle Schwarber was that way too. I think those two had the runs they had as the Cubs leadoff hitters because they were able to see pitches and work good at bats. And that's just what they need. Break Even Tom says Happ sees 11 pitches and 2 ABs. PCR saw 11 and 7 at one point. Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of the things we were seeing. Joey says here, Mr. Ricotta, traditional slow starter, I think, for Happ, only 2 homers through 47 games last year. He's at 47 games now and had the injury. So maybe as the weather warms up, I feel like Ian Happ's also like power streak comes late in the season. He gets it in like August and September. And that's really when he hits a bunch of home runs, and we continue to see it a lot. Cubs won the game on Friday against Green and Lodolo on Sunday because pitch count was up by the 5th inning, 100%. So there's a lot of things to say there. And then Jay had a question here. He says, a bunch of freak oblique injuries or the training staff issues. Who's to blame? Rich, you and Nick talked about that a little bit on Tuesday's show. And it really does just kind of feel freaky. Like it's out of nowhere.
It's just a fluke. Like how do you prevent that from happening?
And especially in a sport where like, you literally like your core is the most important part of your body, both your back core and your front core.
Yeah, I think it's been unlucky for the Cubs right now. Yeah,
it'd be that way sometimes. Gentlemen, I got a question for you guys, and we're gonna pivot. It's a little bit of a pivot off of.
Been teasing us all night.
I have been teasing.
Oh no,
what is it?
I've been teasing you guys. This is good though. This is good. It's really built up the anticipation. I saw something from Foul Territory, which I think a lot of people are familiar with. It's on online web show, just like we are, covering baseball. And the question at hand was, if you are Pete Crow Armstrong, do you take the Julio Rodriguez deal? The resounding answer was yes. But there was a big but in there. And it came from the former players like AJ Pierzynski. The Cubs aren't going to go to that number. It's $210 million for 12 years with a bunch of escalators and things like that for Rodriguez. He said the Cubs aren't going to go there. And he's kind of right. Cubs haven't surpassed $180 million for a total contract in the team's history. Do you guys, and they said, Ken Rosenthal made a great point. He said, if I'm Pete Crow Armstrong, I don't sign anything because I know I'm ascending and my value is just going to go up and up and up if I continue to be doing what I'm doing right now. And he was a first-round pick. He's making good money right now. He doesn't need to run and grab the guaranteed income because he was a 18th round pick. It's not the case with PCA. My question to you guys is, because I went to a dark place with this question. Everybody's worried about the Kyle Tucker screw up. What if they botch Kyle Tucker and then 5 years later botch PCA? Would you be at any point where your Cubs fandom would burn and fizzle a little bit because of the mismanagement of superstars that you have on your roster? And does that make you feel like they need to really go for it and win a World Series in 2025 to maybe lessen the blow just a tad if they lose one or both of those guys? Essentially what I'm asking you, do you believe the Cubs to do the right thing when it comes to their superstars, both this coming off season and in 5 years?
I don't think the Cubs. I think at this point, I don't know. As far as like, wasn't there was a rumor about offering him $75 million a month or so ago, and like rumors
There's
are
also
rumors.
there's also been
I
reports that they are willing to lock him up in season. I just wanted to preface that as well.
They can be willing to do a lot of things. I would be willing to do all kinds of shit, but that's just here and there. I honestly think they're going to take that PCA, the contract they have, they're going to ride that out. They are, because they're going to save money and make money at the same time with PCA. They've shown in the past that that's what they do. And God, Ron, you asked a freaking question and now it's just, you're going to piss everybody off.
I'm opening up a can of worms.
I will say it would definitely, if they screw up on Tucker, which it feels like we've already prepared ourselves to do that. If they screw up on Tucker, it wouldn't be as much as a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
But to kind of go back to like your 1B or C of the question, the peak of what PCA is showing right now, let's be honest, this year could be the best season he has of his career ever in this window of his first contract that he has right now. I think that tells you even more how bad they need to bank on 2025.
If I were Pete Crow Armstrong and the Cubs offered me that Julio Rodriguez contract, I would sign it. Because that is $200 million of guaranteed money. And to Tyler's point,
and can become more.
You're right. To Tyler's point, there's no guarantee that you're going to be playing at this clip, at this level for the rest of your career, let alone the next 5 years, which are the most pivotal. And honestly, the most important year is the one right before free agency. So
yes,
he's 5 years away from that. I would take the deal. Is he going to? No, he's not going to. I think he's already made it clear that he's betting on himself after he turned down that $75 million. And I don't even think the Cubs would offer that money, like to the foul territory's point.
Who's his agent right now?
That's a good question. I have no idea. Yeah, Scott, get on that. The Kyle Tucker thing. Here's what where that scenario becomes even more doomsday is if the Cubs do get this All-Star game bid and Tom Ricketts votes to lock out the players with the rest of the owners, and then it goes from like we lose Kyle, like this is like the most doomsday stuff. They lose Kyle Tucker in free agency. They get the All-Star game, but then lose it because Tom Ricketts and the owners implement a lockout.
Which will probably happen.
Which there's a good chance all of this happens, which is the fucked up part.
Good job, Ron.
And then lose out on PCA and free agency too. So yeah, there is a good chance that we're in store for a lot of bullshit when it comes to the Cubs ownership and the way they operate in the next 5 years. That being said, I'm still holding out hope that they change their ways and realize that this is like, they're a big market team. They pack this freaking stadium pretty much every homestand. They rake in cash at like every juncture. Spend some fucking money, bro. Like the highest contract you have ever guaranteed somebody is $180 million. Spend money and also be willing to give players deferred money, because that is that's the name of the game right now in free agency. And the good teams, the Dodgers, are doing that because they know players want it. And Ron, you've talked about this, about how the whole tax incentive thing for players when they're receiving the money later on, depending on where they live instead of what team, or when they're getting paid the money now, it depends on where the team is and where they're playing. So deferred money is the name of the game. And for some fucking reason, in this offseason, Jed Hoyer or somebody said that we're not going to do that.
Tom Ricketts.
Why?
From the horse's mouth.
Why? I would like to know why. you're just instantly kneecapping yourself in free agency when it comes to signing guys like Kyle Tucker, who
Because
have transformed your team.
he doesn't want to hand out annuities for these guys.
Yeah.
That's effectively what it is. That's what all of them want. They want to turn their contracts into just guaranteed income for forever, and then you don't have to work, and you're golden, Pony Boy, and that's everybody's all fine and dandy and happy. And I'll tell you what, man, you guys have stirred up the comment section. Weathers, Keller, Gossman, so many names available to keep their eye on. Because Joey says buy pitching and go for it. You never know.
Yeah.
But they got him now. Creative Artists Agency is the name of the agency. Same as Corbin Carroll for PCA. My dad said, don't put this out in the universe. Too late.
Yes.
Kyle Tucker will be a Cub next year, 10 years, 475. Book it. That would be nice. And Scott from Iowa says, I'm off. This Cubs will not spend money. The Hayward money is off. The rebuild of Wrigley and surrounding areas have been paid off after this year. We'll see.
It just to add, it just goes to show again, Ron, that 2020 they need to bank on 2025. Look at the D-backs. They made the World Series 2 years ago. Everyone I feel like with them making that World Series that year, the next year a lot of teams were like, oh well, we're kind of that mid-market team too. We could do that. Everybody has a chance. And now look at it this year. Now they could maybe make the playoffs. Maybe not. It just all because thanks to the Dodgers and their division. But it just goes to show how much can change so fast. We were talking about the Red Sox earlier in the pre-show with Rich. You talked about Bregman and everything like that. You just never know what can happen. Those guys, some people preseason picked them to be World Series champions, and now look at them. They're not even going to finish. They may finish third in their division. So you just never know what can happen, which just, again, 2025 just is what they need to bank on. Even with their two-headed dragons out right now in their starting rotation, they still need to bank on 2025.
With all that being said, they have a damn good shot in 2025 with the offense playing like it is. They just need to go out and get some more pitching at the trade deadline.
Yes.
They need to get a starting pitcher. They need to get one of those guys like Pablo Lopez, or I know Sandy Alcantara has been kind of trash this year, but I feel like he would benefit from a change of scenery and he would still be electric on the Cubs. Or like a Luis Castillo if the Mariners are selling, or one of the Blue Jays starters. They need a starter. They need a workhorse in that rotation to go along with Shota, because we were talking about this in the last couple of shows. There is major burnout concerns with a lot of the Cubs rotation. Matthew Boyd, hasn't pitched more than 70 innings since 2019, since before COVID. And Ben Brown obviously cannot stick in this rotation, or it doesn't look like it. And even if he does, he's never pitched more than 100 innings in his professional career. There's burnout concerns for sure. So you need a guy who has proven it, who's proven to go 150 plus innings year after year. And all those guys can do it. Maybe not Alcantara since he's coming off Tommy John, but Pablo Lopez is my number one guy on that list. I think he would be the dude to go after. And you have the prospects to do it. So use them.
Wasn't this a fun can of worms to open?
Yeah, thanks for raising our blood pressure right at the end of the night.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm just trying to keep the party going for everybody. Yeah. Gentlemen, but speaking of the party going, and the party does have to come to an end at some point, we still got to get to a Reds series. So let's turn our attention to the upcoming series with the Cincinnati Reds. It's 3 at Wrigley. This series will take us into the month of June 1st on Sunday. These are all 1:20 starts on Friday. It is going to be Andrew Abbott for the Reds, the lefty. It'll be Colin Ray for the Cubs. The MLB app is saying it's still TBD, but we all know it's Colin Ray already. A fair and interesting point here. The Reds own Colin Ray, but they're also playing at Wrigley, and it's not going to be super hot tomorrow, and I think the ballpark's going to play a little weird. How are we feeling about this series with the Reds? Can the Cubs get another sweep? Are we at least just happy with a series win? Kind of what's the vibe check going into this Reds series starting on Friday?
Are these virtually the same pitchers for both teams that pitched last weekend?
Except if we don't have to see Hunter Green again.
Thank God.
Can we just please have a scoreless first inning against this team, please?
Seriously.
I mean, when you're giving up 2 to 3 runs in the first inning of every game in this series, it's just like, bleh, gosh, we got to dig our ways out again. We got to dig our way out again. The offense is going to bang. They're going to bang this weak pitching that Cincinnati has. They can say, oh, they're good. Well, they just proved that they hit the crap out of them this past weekend or whatever, last weekend. But could we just start the game off with a scoreless first inning? It's like watching, and I love this guy. I love this guy. We always will, but it's like watching a Kyle Hendricks start for 3 straight starts. Can't have a scoreless first. Come on.
Well said.
Look, you fired everybody up, Ron. Everybody's pissed off now.
Yeah. Yeah, you did.
Man.
Sorry about that, man. Hey.
I have faith that the Cubs are going to win this series because you're seeing Andrew Abbott and Nick Lodolo again right after seeing them. And the Cubs beat the shit out of the Reds bullpen last weekend. I think they scored 22 runs against the Reds relievers.
Hell yeah.
I like that a lot. Just bounce those starters out and get the offense rolling. The offense is due too because they didn't do much in this Rocky series. So they are due for some high scoring games again, and the weather should be better. Colin Ray, I think Ben Brown on Saturday versus Nick Lodolo, and then Jameson Taillon versus Nick Martinez on Sunday. So not bad matchups. Not bad. I say we get another series win, 6 straight series win.
I completely agree. I think they're going to drop one, and I just don't know which one it's going to be.
It's probably going to be Ben Brown's start.
Probably. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see Colin Ray start. This will be the 4th different pitcher I've seen at my 4th Cubs game of the season tomorrow. I will be in attendance. I'm very excited. It'll be a beautiful day to be at ballpark. I think it's 75 and sunny is what they're calling for right now. Still, it says he's waiting until Saturday to hit the YRFI. Starting rotation, good grind ABs and get into the pen. Totally agree there. And it sounds like the wind's going to be blowing in from left. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Break even time says you're crazy to lose tomorrow. They better not fucking lose tomorrow. I'm going to be in attendance. All right. I'm not seeing no goddamn loss. All right. I've seen enough. I saw a loss already at Wrigley this season. I'm 2-1. I don't want to go 2-2. I don't want to be playing 500 ball at my favorite ballpark on this earth. I'm going to cry if that's the case. We'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting. Gentlemen, I'm going to turn it back over to you guys just quickly. Any final thoughts before we shut this thing down and wish everybody a good weekend?
I do. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Rich.
I was just going to say, fuck the Cardinals, fuck the Brewers, and fuck that tinfoil question that you brought.
Yeah, that was just a bad question, Ron. But you fired me up because tomorrow starts not only the Cubs-Reds series, but the college regionals. And guess who's in it? Guess who's in it tomorrow? The Western Kentucky Hilltoppers of Bowling Green, Kentucky. I'm going to be watching that on one screen, the Cubs on the other screen. They're playing Georgia Tech. You've got freaking Ryan Weedman, the Conference U.S. Player of the Year. Pretty good. 398 average. 398 batting average. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. You like home runs? You guys like home runs? Ethan Lozama, 15 home runs. Pretty freaking good. They got 6 guys batting 300 or better, 3 guys batting 360 or better. Oh, but Tyler, can they pitch too? Can they pitch? Oh, well, Drew Whalen, Conference USA Pitcher of the Year, going to shove it up their ass tomorrow. And then Lucas Hartman. Lucas Hartman, short guy, looks like a dwarf, but he can pitch his ass off. He was the Conference USA first team All-American. Oh, and then you like Josh Hader? Cal Higgins is Josh Hader 2.0, but better, because guess what he does that Josh Hader doesn't? He pitches more than 1 inning, and he pitches past the 9th inning and before the 9th inning. So tomorrow I'll be standing up and cheering cheering my ass off because this year we've got the team, Georgia Tech, we've got the steam, and the Reds are going to lose tomorrow too. I had coffee, so that's that.
I feel like I'm at Monday Night Raw right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's a hell of a
And I'm
promo.
excited. There's a lot of games tomorrow. It's going to be great. I love this time of year. Seriously, if you've never watched it, pull up ESPN Plus, have that next to the Cubs game. Man, it's great because you've got. And I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but it's the coolest thing is a lot of these kids that are playing. I say kids. This may be the highest level of baseball they ever get to do, and everybody's watching. It's great. It's crazy. It's awesome. It's great.
It's definitely a sight to be seen. Joey's excited. Break Even Tom also excited, and he says,
I'm down.
Texas and Western are going to Omaha. He claims you guys have to go.
We got to go. I would love to go to Omaha. That would be awesome.
Electric. That'd be electric.
There you go. I'm still on the fence about possibly going to Nashville tomorrow to see the Vandy regionals, but we'll see. A couple of the tickets are pretty pricey.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. Scott had a final thought here that I think is worth sharing. The Cubs are undefeated on Friday 120s this year. So I like that.
Wow.
Going into Friday. And gentlemen, I'm just excited for more Cubs baseball. Warm weather is on the horizon. It's almost the month of June. The Cubs got through May with a good record. So I'm also a happy camper. When it's all said and done, we also had a good old FTR a little bit earlier from our boy Jay. And I want to remind everybody, of course, that Cubs on Tap is one of two shows here at the On Tap Sports Network covering the Chicago Cubs. All our friends over at the Dingers podcast. Don't let me get fucking hot in the Dinger picks, by the way. I'm just going to tail Nick every single time, and I'm going to catch up to everybody. It's going to be great.
Is on fire.
He's cooking right now. He's cooking.
I feel like I've had 8 for the last month.
Me too. I'm right there with you, Rich.
We're dry right now, Tyler.
We're coming.
Got fired up, and here we are on a draw spell.
We're coming. But be sure to follow our friends over at Dinger Cubs on the socials. Be sure to follow us as well at Cubbies on Tap on the socials. In addition, follow us. You see all of our Twitter handles here, and you can find all those in the podcast descriptions as well when you go and listen to it on your favorite platform after joining us here and you re-listen to it tomorrow to hear Tyler's epic cut promo there at the end, or my terrible question that fired everybody up and pissed everybody off before
you'll break the internet tomorrow, Ron.
Weekend. I look forward to it. I genuinely do. That is literally my life's goal, is to just anger people at all times. It's fun. It's good to stir up the pot a little bit. Everybody's getting a little too comfortable because the Cubs have been good. We got to stir this shit up a little bit to get the juices flowing. But speaking of those juices, not only do we flow in the sports of baseball, we flow into other sports as well. Bears on Tap. Q and I just got really nerdy about how we would protect against Dennis Allen pressures. It's a good episode. Go check that out over on the On Tap Sportsnet YouTube. And in addition, we got Bulls. We got Blackhawks. Big off seasons coming up for those two teams. And Cubs fans, of course, you have friends that like those pesky Southsiders. And so do we. Send them to your friends, to our friends. They can all be friends and be miserable over at Sox on Tap. Once again, ontapsportsnet.com and at OnTap Sportsnet on the socials. The OnTap Sportsnet. We're going to check out what's on tap in Chicago sports. We got a hat pick for a Dinger pick tomorrow. We've got a Matt Shaw pick. Our picks will be out for the 120. Gentlemen, what do you guys say we get out of the how at Cubs on Tap?
There's one player I forgot when I was talking about Nico Horner's B War. You guys want to guess who it is?
Who is
the entire St. Louis Cardinals roster? The whole team.
Fugazi ass Cardinals roster. The Fugazi Cardinals
thing.
Lars Nootbaar, that's your best hitter. Come on.
It's another reason, Rich, why we like to say F the Cardinals. F the Cardinals and the Reds this weekend too.
And the Reds.
F the Brewers too, just for good measure. Pirates are fine, whatever.
Yeah.
In the dungeon.
Dungeon. They really are. And
let's go Cubs.
Yeah, let's go Cubbies.